got to, fuck me, the hat's definitely got to go on. That is bloody awful.
That's why I've got a
Yeah.
hat.
Okay. Three. I always say I always do a 3, 2, 1, and I end up saying 3, 2, 1 20 bloody times. All right, cool. 3, 2, 1. Hey up, welcome to another episode of Sit Down for Stand Up. Here we have Alex, a Brightonian boy. How's it going, Alex? You good?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thank you for
Yeah,
having me.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm tired. I'm tired. So, Alex, I've been watching some of your stuff, and I was going to show that steak bit. Was it your dad's?
It was
How do
my
you?
granddad.
Absolutely kills me. Very rarely I actually laugh out loud.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And that's one of those bits where it's like, I always wonder, do people think that, because with stand-up, it could either be genuine truth or it could be completely constructed. That's one of those bits where I'm like, do people think I've made that up? Because it is a bit of an Eastern European stereotype. But that bit, 100%, I didn't have to do any writing for it. That's genuinely what he said in a restaurant when they asked him how he wanted his steak cooked. He wanted it good.
Absolutely. I say I'm still just thinking about it again now. I've started this off so poorly. I know I have, but yeah, that every single time. It's like how does the waiter waitress even respond to that?
It's
Like,
quite, and I say this as well because my family are Eastern Europeans. It's a menacing accent. It's like, it's terrifying. If an Eastern European says to you they want something cooked good, you cook it good because,
oh, so I've got a question. I want to ask straight off the bat. Before dude, how did you get into comedy and all that? You have your Russian bit. How has sort of do we still do that act and bits like that even with like the times we're in at the moment? Because it's
well,
still
yeah, so,
golden.
so, so my, so my family are,
Serbian.
they're Croatian and Serbian. So
Hmm.
yeah, slightly different, but the accents are quite similar as well. But I think what happens is a lot of Eastern Europeans can relate to, and I even just I've had other Europeans, some Italians as well have come up to me after shows. I think there's in Central Europe, some of the family stuff that I do relates to a lot of people with how strict elder relatives can be and stuff like that, and the kind of stuff that they come up with as well. So that's even though I'm talking about my Eastern European relatives, I I try and make it as relatable as possible and link it in for people that don't know what Eastern European relatives are like and stuff like that. But yeah, yeah, Croatia and Serbia are the two countries.
And so I should do my list now. How did we get into comedy?
Um, so for me, I was always I don't know about you, I assume you were as well, just a massive comedy fan growing up. I used to just go to so much comedy in Brighton. I was obsessed with watching it. And then a friend of mine went away for university, and started doing comedy. And then when he came back from after university back to Brighton, he said to me, "Do you want to start running a comedy club together?" And then, so we started running it for a few months. And I think it was about 3 months in, I was like, I just have to know if I can do this. I have to give this a go. And for me personally, I didn't have the confidence to just get up there and give it a go. So I did a comedy course.
Okay.
Um,
Well, a lot of people I speak to did seem to start off that way.
yeah.
And so like, how did
I,
was it
I,
sort of like a 6, 8 week course?
yeah, yeah,
My
yeah,
dog's
yeah.
being an arsehole.
That's all right. That's all right. Um,
Sorry, mate, you're getting locked out. All right,
what kind of
yeah.
dog do you have?
Oh, two dash hounds. Yeah, I live on the M25, so it's up to God now. They're fucked. No.
Yeah, no, so yeah, I did a comedy course. I actually did I did two accidentally. So I did a 6 to 8 week one, but I did do like a little weekend taster thing as well, just to see if it was something for me. But yeah, I loved the comedy course. It was great for me, and at that point as well, you're not only doing the course, you're meeting peers that are in the exact same
Oh, yeah.
stage as you. Yeah, they're like, whereas like sometimes I guess uh, fair play to anyone that can just get up there and do it. Because for me, that was quite intimidating. Like, oh my God, you've done 5 gigs compared to zero. Like it was, yeah, it was great. And you can just mess around in a safe environment, learn some brilliant things that would have probably taken me 30 gigs to work out. And yeah, just because you gave me that confidence and that boost to get up there and do it, but also in a safe environment.
Okay. I mean, my first ever gig was Comedy Store in London.
Oh, wow.
The
That's,
Gong Show was my first ever one. I messaged him about 5 o'clock in the evening, be like,
yeah.
any chance I can get on, thinking you just rock up to comedy clubs,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and they emailed back like 20 minutes later saying we've just had 3 dropouts. You can come along and be on it tonight.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I went along. I was the second on the Gong Show, and a minute 24, I think I was.
I
But
mean, I've heard 2 second stories, so a minute 24 on your first gig is very impressive.
I did try to go for the sympathy vote a little bit, but then I think after a minute, when it was sort of deer in the headlights, they were like, "No, he's shit, get him off." But there's a lot of things like I do kind of wish I did do a comedy course because there's so many things I'm still learning every single set. So you said it is like sort of like a fast pass into the knowledge.
Exactly, but also I think there's some I think you only know until you're out there in the wild putting it into practice as well. So I think there's still things that you learn doing it the non-comedy course way as well. So I think 100% there's merit in that. I've managed to purely for my own cowardice avoid gong shows on the on the most part just because I don't know if my ego can handle that.
They can be a bit humbling, but I think the thing I always respect is if you get gonged off, it doesn't mean you're shit. It just means somebody out there didn't like you. Three
Yeah, yeah,
people
yeah,
out of 100 didn't
yeah,
like you. So
yeah.
how long have we been doing comedy for?
Well, longer than I care to admit. So I started a long time ago, but I did take a chunk of time off, and then obviously COVID as well. So I started around 2010,
Okay.
and then I did it for like a couple years, and then I took about 4 or 5 years off and came back, I think, around 2018.
Mm.
Another couple years, another break and back. I always find that question quite difficult, especially where like I remember when I was like looking at competitions and stuff. It's always how long have you been going? I was like, well, how
Yeah.
are we quantifying that? Is it number of gigs or years going? Because years going, I sound like a 15-year veteran, but that's not. I don't think that's a fair reflection.
Yeah, I've never liked the. I mean, one of the tedious things, if you're not in comedy, you won't know this, but the amount of when you're starting up, the amount of forms you have to fill in,
Yeah.
and they what is it? You're still considered a newbie,
Mm,
green, unexperienced if you've got under 100 gigs,
mm.
and like
The amount of minutes under your belt it's needed. Yeah.
yeah, it is like absolutely ridiculous. So how would you say the comedy world has changed in the last 15 years? Oh, you left, came back, left, came back. How has
Mhm.
the circuit changed?
There's one answer that immediately springs to mind,
Mhm.
which is there's just more bloody comics. Just
Yeah.
every year it seems to be like a diagonal of like in Brighton we're really lucky. There's like uh gigs every single night of the week now, and there's acts to sustain it as well. Like with the open, some of the open mic ones could have like 10 to 15 new comics on it, and you could have one of those every single night of the week with a completely different 10 to 15 people. I would say the comedy community in Brighton alone, there must be you know when you're just about to pluck a figure out of the air and you have absolutely no evidence to back this up. There hundreds for a
Okay.
city like Brighton as well. I think there's of all we've got some of the country's biggest comedians living down here, right down to people giving it their first go. It's a really outside of London, I think, because it's so close to London as well. It's got to be one of the best comedy communities for sheer volume of gigs, supportive nature of the community, and just proximity to getting to places like London.
But surely, obviously, it's convenient. It's okay to get to London. What about? Because I've seen you've done, you've done Manchester, you've done the northern territories of our fine land. How do you sort of find, getting to them, getting sets booked in for like,
Yeah, and I'm one of those fools that doesn't drive at the moment.
right?
So I'm at the mercy of this country's
Mm.
train network, which can be unreliable and is rather expensive. So
Mm.
I try and limit my journeys where possible to the. I try and limit it to the south of England, but there's some gigs that like I'm. Yeah, I have to go for it. Like when I got the Manchester Comedy Store,
Mm.
that was for me like, yeah, I have to go and do that and opportunity. I thought it would be a good in to do the London Comedy Store. So I
Yeah,
did a 20-minute, it was a new comedians night when I first did it. I did a 20-minute closing set at the Manchester Comedy Store. I was like, let's get on to the London one.
yeah.
And they went, yeah, that'd be great. Here's the form for King Gong. I was like, it
Mm.
felt like
Yeah, I've just done you play up north, 20-minute, closing act, and
yeah,
now you want me to do a
yeah,
Monday
yeah.
night gong show.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm still working on that one. Still working on that one. One
Yeah.
day.
And I've got a question. Do you think with new comedians, because this is all hopefully tailor-made to, new comedians get inspired to get on the stage and,
Mhm.
learn from experienced comedians such as yourself. Do you think when you start out, you should do every single room you possibly can? Or do you think, you sort of learn your audience quite quickly and you should sort of tailor make it to that?
Mm. I think there's something in both. I think at first, do everything. Just do everything, get the experience. But then it gets to a point where I think you have to draw a line under some of the ones that you know you're not going to learn anything from. Like, I think one mistake that I made was maybe even 2 years in, I was accepting things where it's a mic stand in the middle of a pub, which isn't a separate room where you're competing. And like, I know a pro comic said this to me once, and I've taken it ever since, which is like, he said to me, because he was told, you learn something from every gig, all the bad ones, you learn something. But once you've done about five of those awful ones, where it's like I'm competing with people having dinner here, he said to me, and it was quite simply, I don't know actually what you learn from those. Like what you learn from it is I didn't enjoy that. And if that's what you've learned from it, it's you're not because you're not getting a fair reflection on your material because you've ruined someone's evening. They're having fish and chips, and you're shouting, ruining their lovely date night. So that's the thing I would say is like at first do every gig, just experience a bit of everything, but then where when you get to a point, and it's going to be different for everyone, I would then make a call on those kind of ones that are like, what am I going to learn from this? Like especially if you're it's like if it's down the road, do you know what I mean? Who cares? Whereas like if you've got to travel any distance, you've got to weigh up with and if you're not getting paid, was that worth my time? What have I gained from that? And I think a lot of the time it's not as much as not doing it.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. Joe, I've done about 3 or 4 gigs now where it's just been me and like 7 other comedians in the room,
Mhm.
and
Mm,
well back then I sort of felt to myself, well, no one's listening to me; they're waiting for their turn.
mm, mm,
So these
mm,
jokes I'm doing, these jokes I'm writing, how do I know, if they slap or not? How do I know if they're killing
mm.
it? Because I'm getting no feedback.
Yeah, and I also think I've changed my opinion. Like I remember when I first did, I tried to limit when I was new the amount of bringer gigs I would do. Because in my head I was like, oh, at least it's a full room. But it's
Mm,
that similar thing of I don't know if it's a fair reflection because everyone is a really unique setup that isn't conducive to like other how other comedy audiences are, the dynamic. You've got half are comics and half are, very rarely is there groups. It's normally a single person on their own that's been brought by a friend. And a lot of the time, those people might not even be the kind of people that would go to comedy. They don't act in the same way that a comedy audience might act. And it's a weird dynamic to the room. And also, it's that thing of, like you said, half are comics waiting for their turn, and half are essentially a comic's friend who's been held hostage at a comedy night.
Well, I sort of put my foot down on bringer gigs. One, because I've
Mm.
got no friends who would actually be asked to do it, and two, I asked a mate if he wanted to do it, and he sort of said to me, "Well, if I'm going out for a drink with you, I want to have a drink. I want to have a chat.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want to
yeah.
sit here in silence and listen to seven other dickheads who I don't give a shit about."
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So
And the thing
that's
is, your friend's being honest, whereas there are some people that would not be that honest with their friend, go along and have that internal monologue, but then give off that vibe as an audience member.
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. I'm sure they'll change their tune if I ever became, successful. I'm
Yeah,
sure I
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah,
get them, to not be there, but it
yeah,
does.
yeah.
So okay, how one that would be quite interesting knowing how did we go from doing the 5 minute bringer sets in Dave's underground cellar, which has no lights, and to going to paid gigs. What was like the elevation?
Do you know what? It's for this is probably not the best advice for all comics. This was just my personal journey. Um, it was having a break. For me, when I started, I almost like tried to take it too seriously too quickly. And
Right.
I burnt out a bit too quickly. I was like doing all the competitions and I wasn't progressing at the rate I wanted to progress. So when I drew a line under it, I had no intention of coming back. And after about 3, 4 year break, I missed it and I came back, but I came back and said to myself, I'm not coming back to be a comedian. I just quite enjoyed doing it and taking that pressure off myself. I progressed so much quicker than I ever did in the first go at doing comedy, if that makes sense. I think having that, it's important to have goals, but like
Hmm.
ultimately, no one is forcing us to do this. If you don't enjoy it, the audience knows you're not enjoying it. You've got to find that bit as well. And I think it was just after that, it's like it was just a slow, natural progression. Get just doing if your own momentum will word will get out there, and before you know it, the paid gigs will start to come.
I could completely 100% agree. I remember when I first got into it. Now, I'm a very new comedian myself.
Mhm.
And before, actually looking behind the curtains of the comedy world, I remember
Mm,
speaking to call my mum up on the phone saying, "Oh, I'm going to try and do some stand up. You know, I'll do a couple of shows. They'll try and get some paid gigs.
mm,
In a couple of years from now, hopefully I'm famous." And the naivety to think it's such an easy process to get there,
mm,
and the like I said, the saturated
mm.
saturated competition is just it's so fierce. And like I presume at the beginning you were sort of the same. You're going to do this to become multi-millionaire,
Mhm,
famous.
mhm,
But when
mhm,
you actually started doing it for the love of it, is when you
mm.
actually started doing better.
100%, 100%. And like, I think competitions are not the be all and end all, and they really knocked my confidence. Like, it, some of the country's best comedians
Mm.
didn't win competitions. That's not how it worked. That would be my no, two bits of advice on competitions for newer comedians is one, don't put too much stock in them. If you win them and you do well, brilliant. But don't beat yourself up if you don't. But all the other thing I would say is um, wait as long as you can. There's no some of them. There's no rush. Like I've met so many new comedians and they're like they'll go to me, "Oh, I'm doing So You Think You're Funny." I'm like, "Oh, cool. How long you been going?" It's like it's going to be my second gig, and I'm just like, "Why?" Why
Yeah.
would you? You can do that in a year and a half. Why would you do it? A lot of them don't know. A lot of them don't know that you can
I
wait.
I
Or
I think gong shows and things like that, they portray it, and I don't know if it's a bit naughty of them. They say if you win, then you're going to get a paid spot on the weekends.
mm,
So they try
mm,
and treat it as a short list mechanism, like a fast track
mm,
mechanism.
mm, mm,
Uh,
yeah.
but I remember quite an interesting one. I've got you. Is it Catherine Ryan? You met her, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah.
She said about gong shows, she'll never do one now, and she never used to do one because she felt like it was a loaded die. Like she'll
Mm.
never do one now because people know her and now think it's funny to gong her off.
It's exactly that. It's yeah. I think yeah, you'd get people that would go, "We'll just gong her off because it's Catherine Ryan." That would be funny. Like it's not you. I think you have to be. No one has to know you before going in there.
Yeah, 100, 100. I mean, I did up the creek last Thursday. I lasted 3.5 minutes this time, but I did them. You know when you do a joke and you just feel the room leave you. Like I'll do the joke here. So I talk about being fat, and then I say, oh my, if you're fat, all you need is a mate who's fatter, and you're fine. My mate Tim, he's fat, he's a fireman. He can't get up the ladder anymore. They call him a bungalow specialist. That bit always hits. And then this is the bit I did first time that night was he's actually so fat and ugly, he's actually just been granted a visa for this country. I can't remember what country it is, but I know they wave a rainbow flag and lost
The
it.
whole room.
Gone.
Sure,
Gone.
sure.
Yeah. Because I was like, I don't particularly find that like to me that's not I just wanted to try something because I got told, gong shows are all about shock value. And it,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
it didn't work. So,
Sure, sure. Well,
so
it's brave doing a new like in my head going in. Also, I say this having not done any gong shows. In my head, I would go in. I don't know what I would. Yeah, in my head, I want to go and do my best stuff. And then if it doesn't work, then I need to reevaluate everything I've done. But in my head, it feels brave trying something new in a.
in a complete different environment. But it went well up to that point. So
How do
there
you
was
find them then? How do you find the gong shows? Do you feel you learn something from them each time you do them
um,
all?
I honestly I've only done two, so I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm still the fat kid trying to grab every single bit of candy from the shelf. So they're gonna take me. Oh yeah, let's grab it. Let's grab
Yeah,
it. So that was sort of my go-to at the moment. And I when I booked it, there was like a 3 month waiting list. So it
sure.
was like yeah, it rolled around quick
Super
enough.
quick.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So okay, with your comedy set, like you're saying, if you'd have to reevaluate a joke. How often do you bring new material to a stage? How often do you, like rotate your comedy? Do you have your like, if I'm doing a 5, 10,
Mm.
20, no matter what, I'm doing this 5 minute. No matter what,
Yeah.
this is always going to be there. This is my greatest
Um,
hits.
if there's anyone watching that knows me, I can only give one answer because they'll know I'm lying otherwise. Because I kind of do it part time at the moment, so I don't. My dedication to new material can be slack. But I think what a lot of people don't know about me is like most comics in the country, I've got ADHD and my memory is really bad. So I do try and slip in the odd new joke
Mm.
where possible. And there's loads of nights in Brighton where I will do a whole new set just to practice it. But if it's like a proper big gig,
Mm.
I stick with my my favorite set. But
Greatest
then that
hits.
doesn't mean that sometimes there's new jokes that get bumped up quite quickly to the best of. And then some, and then the ones that I'm least. My 20s always. Everyone always goes, "I want to get a 20 that I'm happy with."
Yeah.
After 15 years, I've never had a 20 that I'm happy with, and I think I'm trying to see the positives in that, in the sense of like it's constantly you evaluating it. Things that you thought were your bankers 10 years ago are suddenly like, that's not my best stuff anymore. Um, and I think if you see me, it's kind of like you might hear some similar jokes, but what you don't notice is the bits that have slowly dropped out and gone back in. Oh, sorry,
Okay.
come in that I knew.
Okay. Yeah.
In terms of like a 5, 10, and a 20, in terms of the reason I mentioned the ADHD is the way I write and structure my whole set. I quite admire comedians that can do bits and like I'm going to do 5 minutes on that bit, or I'm going to move that 5 minutes to here. Whereas mine is linked, and it's linked because otherwise I won't remember it.
Okay.
So my 5, my 10, and my 20 is when my watch goes off.
Okay. I'm with you.
So it's the same set, but when the watch goes, I go to the last joke.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So like we skip bits. I have one ADHD joke that I'm trying to slip in.
Mhm.
You can steal it if you want, if you think it's good. It was I used to have ADHD, but growing up in the 90s, my mum had a cure for it. It was called slapping the shit out of me.
Sounds like the Eastern European approach.
That's what I'm going to say. If you want to do your granddad, your grandma, Eastern European. So,
Yeah.
okay, you've I've never asked this question before, but you sort of brought it to me here.
Hmm.
Would you say your favourite joke is your best joke?
In my set,
Yes. Or does a joke have a
um,
soft spot in your heart, but it might not hit all the time?
it's a very good question, actually. Um,
Thank you.
what is it's? I've got a bit in my set that I really like, and I think it's the thing that people find most relatable. It's not really a standalone joke. It's kind of like a topic, and it's about food expiry dates.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, well, I'll be quiet. I know, yeah, the milk comes in it, but go on.
yeah, yeah. So it's about because I've for like 10 years I lived on my own, and it was all about like food going off and um uh and like when you're on your own you have to panic. You got to like you have to think about, well, I can't buy all that and eat all that, and then throwing things together that shouldn't go together. And like I think that was one of the bits where I was like, I remember thinking of that idea, and weirdly I wrote it in a different way that I've ever written other in my head. Like every time other time I write, I go, well, that's the setup, that's the punchline. Whereas this bit was just like, I'm just gonna say my thoughts and hope that people laugh at them. I didn't actually. There is some punchlines in there, but like most of it is kind of just a rant. And it was the first time I'd written something in that style that um yeah, a rant that people found funny. And yeah, I've had audience members say that they found that bit so relatable. Ramesh Ranganathan told me he loved that bit, so I'll
Yeah,
take that.
yeah, there we go.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's one of my bits where I think, but it's weird. It's although it's one of my favorite bits, and some people find it so relatable. I wouldn't, I don't, I wouldn't say it's a banker
Okay.
because it's not got as much punchlines as the other bit because it's a rant. Sometimes there's not as much laugh. It's people laugh at the punchlines, but they'll let you just do the rant. Whereas like other bits, it feels like it's more easy for people to know where to laugh, if that makes sense. So it's not the bit
Some
in
of
my
you.
set where I'm going, here come the big laughs. It's the bit where I think people will relate to it. But yeah,
Mm.
it's a weird one. It's like it's not my biggest laughs, but that's probably the bit that I was quite proud of coming up with.
Well, I can say from literally first-hand experience, I related to it straight away
Mm,
because I've even when I lived by myself, I would never buy 1 pint of milk. I'd always buy six
yeah,
pints because of value for money. But then because of that, I bought myself
mm,
chocolate Nesquik as like the
yeah,
final killer
yeah,
of any
yeah,
remaining milk. So
yeah.
even though, like, say, if I'd never spoken to you, I've seen that bit, and I've related my own experience
Yeah,
instantly with
yeah,
what you
yeah,
said.
yeah. Yeah. And it's
So
a bit that like not everyone can relate to having Serbian relatives, whereas that's
no,
a bit that I've written that
yeah,
in
that's
that
a
my
niche.
I yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, and it's a bit that hopefully people can relate to. Yeah, and yeah, it's that thing of like you said, like a small thing of milk, but the same thing like with grapes, with anything. It's like you buy the whole thing. It's like, well, it's only like 10p more to get the big thing. But it's like I can't commit to finishing that before it goes off. That's now about a battle of time. I've set myself some sort of culinary food challenge to.
Well, the one I noticed is that my mum used to always do with loaves of bread. Any bread that wasn't eaten, she used to stick it in the freezer. And I
Yeah,
think value for money in relation to value of the storage of the freezer never
yeah, yeah,
correlated.
yeah. No, 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 no. And like, I see that. I see that. Yeah, yeah. I did get a weird heckle with that food routine once.
Mm,
Um, and it's only ever happened once. And it's it's there's few times in life where you get to go, do you know what? You've got a fair point. They were correct, but no one else has spotted it since. So the bit I do is about um food going off, and then you throw like combinations together that shouldn't go together.
yeah.
And then the example I give is last night I had a dish that I'm going to have to call fish finger stir fry.
Okay.
Um,
As you
so
said, got hands.
you don't expect to, but the heckle I got was they put the laughter happened, then it paused, and someone just went, "But fish fingers are from the freezer. Why was that going off?"
Oh,
And
shit.
it's like it's a really good point, but it doesn't. So it's I know you can have like you could probably have Tesco's finest that doesn't need to be in the freezer,
Yes.
but in reality, more fish fingers come from the freezer than the fridge. So they
Yeah.
are right, but it doesn't stop it getting a laugh because the audience doesn't have time off. Like I don't know how quick their thought process was,
Yeah.
but it's happened once in like 7 years. Um, so I'm kind of like I keep the joke because it works, but I'm waiting for that day when someone else comes and finds my Achilles heel that it's not factually correct.
That's brilliant, actually.
I remember there's a comedian that doesn't do it anymore. Um, he was a local guy in Brighton. He was one of the best heckles I've ever heard in my life. Um, he kind of did it as one-liners and stuff. So he said, I did the school run with my son earlier, fucking thrashed him." But then someone went, "Why? It was half term."
Oh.
And just the I've never seen someone's face just go, "Oh yeah."
Shit. Oh, I don't think I've got any in my on my set at the moment. No, I don't. I don't really. The only one with mine is I go on about my twin being the favoured twin. So
Hmm.
like my mum goes, "Oh, don't forget it's your twin's birthday on Friday." But yeah, unless anyone knows my birthday, that's sort of like safe at the moment. So okay, what advice would you give to like a new comedian sort of starting out?
Sounds easy to say it in hindsight, but if you're considering it, go for it. I think a lot of people, you've probably heard this, the people that go, "Oh, comedy, you do that, you must be brave." Do you, I don't know, I don't feel brave. Do you feel brave?
I like to brag about it because
Oh,
because
that's a different kettle of fish.
yeah, because of their false pretense on it. Um, okay, I think you've got to be brave to do it the first time.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
So
It's like pulling off that plaster. But once you do it, you get the taste for it, and like that's what I was getting at. So you answered it perfectly, which is if you're considering it, go for it.
yeah,
First time going to be terrifying. After that, it will get easier, and you'll know pretty quickly whether you want to keep doing it, and then you don't have to have that itch in the back of your brain, like, could I have done it? What could I? What worst case scenario? I know someone says this to me, was like, I want even like 10, 15 years. I'm scared of dying on my ass. No one wants that feeling. But it's like ultimately, another pro comic said this to me, is like, what is the worst? Like, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
It's not. So I would say my advice: go for it. If you're considering it, just give it a go. Whether that's doing your first gig at the King Gong, or whether that's doing a comedy
King Kong,
course,
yep.
find everyone's route is going to be different.
Mm.
Find your route and go for it.
Now, I would also add on to that because with mine, I had someone for 3 years, Newcastle Steve, who used to drink in my pub. He used to tell me 3 years, do it, do it, do it. And finally, I did it. The only regret I had about doing it is not doing it sooner. You'll only ever have a regret of not doing it than if you go up and you suck ass and you never want to do it again, that's not going to haunt you.
No.
But not doing it, for 3 years and stuff, bitching out, yeah,
Mm,
you will regret that.
mm.
So
You normally it's that thing, isn't it? You regret the things that you didn't do more than the things that you did. And I know as cheesy as that sounds, it is kind of true
it
with
is.
a lot
Yeah,
of
like,
things and with comedy.
you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That's another, yeah,
Mm, yeah.
extra cheese, and that's extra mature cheese. That one, no greater needed. So, Alex, I'll finish with this. I always do this as a two-part question. It's the guaranteed question I ask on every show.
Mhm.
Everyone knows what I'm going to say. I don't really give a shit about the first bit. It's all about the second bit. First bit, what was your favorite moment on stage? Second bit, tell me the time you bombed the hardest, your worst moment on stage.
And is there a particular way round that you want those? Do you want me to finish on the worst time or
Oh,
the?
100, yeah. Yes, yes, yeah,
Okay,
please.
okay.
Please.
Um, okay. Favorite gig, favorite moment on stage was doing this. I'm torn. I'm torn. There's two. Um, I'll start with what there's a music festival in Portsmouth that I've been going to for like 10 years, maybe less, 7 years. But I love the festival, and I got to play it a few years ago, and that's when I performed with Catherine Ryan, Joel Dommett, Milton Jones, and like
I
to
saw the
be
A-listers right there, yeah.
yeah, to go with to a festival that I've been to as a punter, to suddenly get that. Well,
Mm.
here's the all the famous comedians got a wristband that said "artist." We were performers, the other comedians, but
Oh,
it was still everyone, all the big acts were so nice. That was a real on my journey from punter at the festival to being someone that's performing at it. Um, but I think the main one for me was that first 20 minutes at the Manchester Comedy Store. It was like, I think that was one of the biggest gigs in terms of just making that jump from like, oh my God, someone is paying me money to do 20 minutes and I'm the last act. It felt
yeah.
like I had a real kind of battle of what's it called, confidence going into it, but it was such an experience, and I'm glad I've done it. And yeah,
And you killed it. If it's the one I've watched, you killed it. So,
thank you, I
yeah.
appreciate that. Um, but let's balance it out with the worst time.
Good. Here we
Um,
go.
I've done a lot of support slots for people, and 9 times out of 10, they go well, luckily. But it was I was supporting someone who was quite they're one of my favorite comedians. I love them, but their style is it's not normal comedy. They don't actually do it anymore, but it's like surreal kind of. But they were a big name. They don't do comedy, but they do acting now. So their audience is used to a certain style of comedy, and I was supporting them. And it's a really long, thin room. It can hold about 100, but you've got to enter from the back of the room and walk down the side of the room. So it
Okay.
takes you a good minute or two to get to stage. And that they weren't expecting a support act, and the sound tech just went. ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Alex Petrovic, and no one clapped. And it was just, I was dying and I hadn't got on stage yet. It was silence, the walk to stage, and then got on. I genuinely, 15, 20 minutes, like, no laughs. I got one laugh, and I think that they were laughing because I wasn't getting laughs, which
I bet
was
you're paid more than.
yeah, well, that which is worse than no laughs, I think.
I love it.
My mouth was going so I was like, I just couldn't figure out. This is about. I wasn't. I still don't know what I would do now. It's some of those ones are just really like, just you. I don't know how to win you round. I don't know what. I'm not who you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
I,
was. My
I'm not.
mouth
I'm
was
not going to
very dry.
apologise to you though. It's like you got to suck it.
Yeah,
You got to endure me.
I contractually have to be up here, so we're all going to have to endure this. Um, but I'm not doing this for free, so I'm going to do my time to get my money.
I
Um,
did sign that contract, didn't I? I am getting paid
yeah,
for this.
yeah, yeah, that was my. It was just all happening in slow motion. Like, I think I like, yeah, it was so. I've never. I remember really clearly seeing the light that my time was done, and I've never been so relieved.
Gosh,
But this is it. Comics,
we've all been
if
there.
you of all levels,
Yeah,
and again, another pro comic said this to me: if you haven't died, you're not a comic.
yeah. If you haven't died, you've never lived. I don't know if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
exactly. We're
I'll
going back
find
to
the
the cheese.
philosophy in there. I'll find the philosophy in there somewhere. Alex, that's absolutely brilliant. Thank you ever so much for coming on, brother.
No, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it.
No,
Really,
I
really nice chatting
appreciate
to
it.
you.
If you're in London, give me a shout. And if, when I come down to Brighton, I'll let you know.
Yeah,
We'll try and get on the
absolutely.
same circuit.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Cheers, bro. Much love, man.
Cheers. Later.